Well, hello there. Peace. This is our 42nd of these playlists, and the theme is peace. So it's my turn. I picked the topic. We've had war before, and so I thought, why not? So so these are all songs we have about peace, one way or another, in this nation, across the world, is a more general concept. We'll go through that, but I'll just get right into it. If I didn't say this is a 42nd playlist. So I picked for my first one a Curtis Mayfield song called "We've Got to Have Peace," and I've gone back and forth on this. I don't have a problem with the song. I like the song. It's fine. Curtis Mayfield is known more, I think, for Superfly and what's it, Freddie's Dead and some other things. But I didn't realize he had a whole bunch of other music. Like, for instance, I don't know if you know, but he wrote "People Get Ready," that song that I almost put on, and actually it relates to a song that's coming up later. But yeah, and so he did this. We Gotta Have Peace. It's more of a kind of up tempo soul song, um, and I thought it was great. I like it, but later I was like, this other one I picked maybe would have been better for me to start. So I had just learned about it. I think a couple of days before we made the playlist, so that happens sometimes, and so I like it again, but I don't know. So what do you guys think?
I thought it was a great start. And like you, I didn't know he did these types of songs back in the day or whatever. I knew him, like you said, Superfly and all that other stuff, and so I was kind of surprised. But in leading up to the week or so before, we always go research and look around and see what's out there. And so I had came across this song already as well. So I wrote it down, and you can see a central theme here because it seems like Mike and even Jose picked several songs that I had on my list, which was kind of cool. Meaning we're kind of vibing together and we kind of have similar things going on. But I thought it was a good way to start the playlist. It has good soulful vibe to it, and yeah, the great message of peace. So I was a little surprised, but again, I previewed it a few days before, and so when Mike threw it on, I was happy because it was kind of one of my choices to make the playlist.
Right, I think we all make these playlists and we all look at the list and we're like, what's the topic? And then you Google it or you throw in what's the top peace songs of
Yeah.
we all do the same thing. And let me say first, it is three old friends, music never ends. Like, that's who we are. Just giving you a hard time. But uh, yeah, we all check the songs, and of course, this was on. I know y'all do it. We picked 40 or 50 songs. We would pick way too many songs that we want to use, and this was again on my list as well. And I do like it. I like it a lot. Curtis Mayfield, like you said, he's known for other songs, but I think he was getting into the groove here, and I do like this sound. I think he also produced an Aretha Franklin album at one point. So he's you know highly respected, and I think he's getting his due now. I think because back then we just didn't listen to songs like this, and so it's good to hear them now and them getting their just dessert, so to speak. So I followed that up with a little more contemporary. We Are Here, Alicia Keys. Like I said, we look at lists. I'm like you guys. I'm not the hugest, the biggest Alicia Keys fan, but this song, man, it really took me. I was like, oh my god, this is really a great song, and it's contemporary, and it came out in 2014, but it still mentions stuff today that we're still dealing with. Gaza, Israel, Baghdad, all those things. So it just goes to show you that you got to keep plugging away at the peace as much as we keep dealing with the same issues over and over again. And I guess this was a huge hit. I didn't know. I would again. Sometimes I'm oblivious to mainstream music, and but I thought it was a fantastic song, and just the way that it sounds, and her voice, and her her passion for it really it, it struck a chord. I think what you like to say our favorite songs. I kind of like this song on the playlist when it comes on.
Yeah, I agree. The I didn't really know a lot about Alicia Keys, and Rachel got into one of her songs, which is I'm going to blank out, but I heard it many times. I didn't know this one, But when it came on, we were driving from somewhere once, and I played this list in the car, and it's like, oh, okay. She gives a thumbs up. This one and the next one, Dave. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, no, I like it. I like and it's not just, and this comes up again and again in this list. It's not just in this song, those important international, there's terrible things going on and have gone on, but also here at home, talks about Chicago and, people getting shot on the street and things like that. So, like I said, we'll have more of that coming up, but, I thumbs up for me.
Yeah, it's starting to get to the, like I listened to this playlist a couple times, and it's getting to the point now where, and I don't know if I can pick this out of the lineup or not, but as soon as I started hearing the piano, you tend to think, oh, that's so and so, or you could kind of tell their style. And for some reason, as I heard the beginning of this song, I immediately thought, I mean, I knew now that Jose had put this song on by Alicia Keys, but I started thinking, oh, that seems to be like a signature type of an intro for her and how she plays the piano. And it's a beautiful song. I mean, I didn't know about it, and the message of it, like you guys have already said, and it's just a beautiful track, and has a great message to it. But it's getting to that point where I can start identifying her by her sound, and not just the keyboard and the playing and the piano, but as soon as you hear that voice, it was like, oh, that's Alicia Keys. And so I think we're being educated a little bit more on different types of music, and this is one of those artists that I think we're hearing more of.
I think it's more where our old friends, old is kind of accentuating like this. We weren't listening to this, 2014. So anyway.
So anyway, the first couple songs you guys put on kind of had that soulful beat or whatever, and as I was preparing and looking at songs for the week, I came across this Black Eyed Peas song, and I'm like, I'm not into a lot of that type of music, but I know about the Black Eyed Peas, and so there's a song called "Where Is the Love," and it seemed to kind of fit really good after those first two, and you know has a great message of it. We shouldn't be um, discriminating, and we need to have love, and we need to have understanding for others, and um, all of that kind of thing. And so again, I think the message of the song was great, and then again, it wasn't something that I normally have in my wheelhouse, but I thought this is a perfect place to put it after those first two soul songs.
Yeah, it's a great song, and the funny thing is, and I'll admit this, one of my guilty pleasures was, as much as I gloss over Alicia Keys for whatever reason, I listened to Black Eyed Peas. I've heard 3 or 4 of their albums. I know Fergie. I know it's terrible. It's a guilty pleasure. In fact, once I went on vacation, and when I was at ONU, and the students decorated my whole thing, and I had like a bunch of Fergie-licious and things like that. They're kind of making fun of me, but yeah, and I do like but I didn't know about this song. I have heard most of the hits, obviously the hits, and Fergie doing her thing. But this song is really a beautiful song, and I'd probably been more interested if they did songs more like this that I had heard. Most of them are just that upbeat, funky, fun songs, talking about partying, talking about doing things. But yeah, I really like the song, and it fit right in with the first 3 songs.
Yeah, I did not have that history with Black Eyed Peas. I don't begrudge you that in any way. They had a couple of songs. Okay, did they do the Milkshake song?
No, that's
Okay. Did they do My Hump or whatever that is? Hump.
That's
Okay, that's
I
that
know.
was okay. Unfortunately, I heard that song and it just like, I'm like, no more Black Eyed Peas. But then I started.
I got a feeling. I think that's the only one I know.
Right, and that was one that I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I should check them out more. And so they've kind of grown on me. This one I really like. It's awesome, and I forget they have a couple of guests on the song. I forget who, but they're noteworthy people. If
Timberlake,
I
right?
say what?
Justin Timberlake.
Justin.
Yeah.
That's right.
Um,
I forgot that. I forgot to mention that.
but yeah, but it's great. And again, it's like it's talking about, you know, the things going on in this country, and you know, that perspective is, you know, it's important to keep in mind. I mean, yeah, I don't want to get too much into politics, but it's just it's a real good message. And when I heard this, I didn't make this connection, but my next song was "What's Going On" by Marvin Gaye. And afterwards, I was like, I don't know why I chose. I think that was what when I was talking a minute ago, I was thinking that might have been a good one to do as my first song, but whatever. It is what it is, and I love this song and this album. I'll get into that in a second, but there are some echoes of this song in the Black Eyed Peas. I have the lyrics here. Let's see. Mama, 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 tell us what the hell is going on. Father, 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 help us. That's very similar. And there's some others in here too. But that's very similar. And I'm guessing it was inspired by that, but who wouldn't be inspired by uh, what's going on? I mean, that album, I think, he had a lot of hits, Marvin Gaye. He had a tragic life. And had some mental illness, and then he had a terrible the way he died and things. But he had a lot of great songs. You know, Heard It Through the Grapevine, a lot of other stuff. But I think when he got to this record, I don't think he ever got, in my opinion, I don't think he ever topped this. I think it was, in my view, about the best, almost a perfect album for what I liked. I love every song on there, and it's like a whole story. It's a concept of a sort, and he has that song "Mercy Me" or whatever, the one about the ecology. Um, you'd recognize it if you heard it. But I listen to this every few weeks, that album, a lot. So anyway, it's the same kind of thing about what's going on in this country. During the time of Vietnam, and he addresses that in another song, "The Soldier Coming Home," and what he's facing. But there's not really the song speaks for itself, so there's not really anything I can say about it.
Well, it's like I said, it's a song about peace, and I had it on my list as well, and so when Mike put it on, I'm like, yes, there's another one. Um, it's just a great song. I think I remember seeing something about or some documentary, maybe it was on Motown or all of that, and I thought I remember seeing that like they were Barry Gordy and the others were kind of upset with him, right? Because they wanted him to put out something classic Motown kind of thing, and he's like, no, I want to do this, and kind of went against the record companies at the time and said, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I got to express and put it out even again against what maybe the record companies wanted to put out at the time. Um, when I think about peace and when I think about war and all of that, I mean, the lyrics even say that, war is not the answer, and we don't need to escalate, for only love can conquer hate, all those kind of things. And, so yeah, it's a beautiful song. I love it, and I'm glad you put it on because it went really good after those first three as well. It was like perfect placement of a song. Good job.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. We all love that song. And what I remember and hearing things about this song is it was, like I said before with Curtis Mayfield, these were songs that we were listening to. And this was one of the first songs that kind of addressed what really was happening in the African American community and the things that people were facing, at that time. And like Dave said, they didn't want this, they want another Heard It Through the Grapevine. They just want the money. And Marvin Gaye's like, there's a lot more important things going on than just, making money. And he wanted to express that through this song. And of course, it was so big that it broke through the barriers of just being played on the only the African American radio stations. It became a hit on all the songs, and everyone could identify with that. Of course, especially in that era with Vietnam and Vietnam veterans coming back. Of course, this is something that was huge back then. So and like Dave said, we all had that soul running through those first four songs, and I just thought it was a great combination of songs. Having said that, I kind of went a little different. I went with white soul, so to speak. I went with Bruce Springsteen, who's considered probably the everyman, the working man. Again, I'm not the biggest Bruce Springsteen song. I found this song, some researching and what can I put on? What's interesting? And I thought this song was really interesting. And a little research, I guess the song he wrote in like 1999, but it didn't come out till a lot later than what he had. But I think the message was really good. And you sure it's not soulful in the aspect that we were talking about, but it has its own version of soul into it. And and of course Dave follows it up, but let's all get on this train. Let's all get together. Let's try to accomplish the same goal that we're trying to accomplish, which is obviously easier said than done. So I thought again, it's Bruce Springsteen. People love Bruce Springsteen, and I thought this was just a different approach to it.
Am I next? Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, no, I completely agree. I've gotten into Bruce Springsteen over the years. I've been kind of late to it, as in the last decade or so. But he has so much stuff out there. I keep finding this is the second one you put on that I had no idea about. And I really like it. And I think maybe you're referencing this a minute ago. It has references, it sounds like, to People Get Ready, the song I mentioned, that Curtis Mayfield, that just get on board. You don't need no ticket, just get on board. I mean, that's straight out of that. But it's, of course, a different sound. It's his sound. It's not the New Jersey Bruce. It's I won't call it a gospel song, but it definitely has that kind of, I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, but not solemn either, but it just has that kind of thing about it, that glow about it. Yeah, it's a good choice. Great song.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. Maybe as much as Outlaw Pete, right? I like that one. Um, but with Springsteen too, he has this way of doing like song, and sometimes there's songs are 6, 7, 8 minutes long, and for whatever reason they don't feel that long. He just carries that. He's able to carry a long tune like that, and it's this is a great example of that. He keeps using the metaphor of the train over and over and over again. I don't think I've ever heard a song that had the word train in it so many times. I mean, it was just, the train carries fools and kings. On this train, we're all aboard. I said, now this train, the dreams will not be thwarted. The train, every single stanza. It's almost kind of like sometimes what Bob Dylan does, right? When he just keeps repeating that same phrase, and it gets stuck in your head, and you're like, oh, this is a song about hope and dreams, but it's about trains, and he uses that metaphor to get every line across that he needs to, right? And I think that's brilliant writing. It's brilliant singing. It's just a great song. Then it gets you thinking about trains and train songs, and it's like, okay, well, Jose threw me a softball on this one. What song can I put on next? Oh, maybe Peace Train. There's a good place for that. We got trains and we get peace, and so I went with the Cat Stevens classic song, Peace Train. We all know it. It's been out there a long time and been used in movies and things like that. And this is one of my favorite songs. I've always liked it. And so this is the perfect playlist to put that Cat Stevens song on.
Yep, I think it's
Yeah, no, I agree. I've probably been in my life since Dave's put it on listen to Cat Stevens. Dave's always been big Cat Stevens, probably turned me on to it. Even probably before then on AM radio, this song would be played. And I thought it was a great choice to go with it. I mean, it kind of be funny not to have a Peace playlist without Peace Train on it. It's just one of those songs that, it's enlightening. It's energetic, and I thought it went well with the thing. And of course, a little different sound to it, so to speak. It, we're going through all the soulful stuff, but this is more, has its own version of soul, so to speak. And I just thought it was a great song to put right after that.
Yeah, like you said, it was on AM radio. It's you listen to any greatest or whatever oldie station, and for a while it wasn't. For a while it kind of, for a number of reasons, everybody knows. But it's everywhere, to this day, and I'm not tired of it. It is also one of my favorite songs. And, it's just like, it doesn't get old. There's songs you can hear, like there's some Beatles songs, or whatever. It's like, I've heard those so many times, do I really need to hear She Loves You again or whatever, it's a great song, whatever, but it's obviously this is different than She Loves You. But, yeah, I think it stands the test of time. Um, we should have more Cat Stevens on too, because a lot of his stuff is about peace. And I know he was on the list, on the playlist probably quite a bit back in the day. I'd be surprised if not.
We should actually refer to, I mean, his name is now Yusuf Islam. Obviously, he produced this when he was Cat Stevens, but
Yeah.
we all know now that, just out of respect to him, that it's Yusuf Islam.
That is a good point. Although now he's even got a little flexible about that. I think when it'll say Yusuf slash Cat Stevens or in parentheses or something. So, he was pretty much out of the music business for a while, but great choice. I love the song, and I thought, well, okay, I have a couple of Train songs in my mind too, and I very nearly did. Rachel and I again were before we made this playlist. We were talking about songs, and Love Train came on the radio. I forget, is it the OJ's? I don't know who exactly did. Somebody like that. And I've always loved that song too. But no, I decided to go a little different. So I went with the Los Lobos song. Um, you were pointing out one time that most of the Steely Dan songs I put on were from Royal Scam, and you could say the same for Los Lobos. I've put 3 or 4 songs now from Kiko, which, if you can't tell, is one of my favorite records. And there's more I'd like to put on, but I'll try to mix it up. But it's just straightforward. It's like um, little sort of like the piece between a mother and her baby, and there's a story of a man, I guess, who just died. But then there's about the wall. We build up the wall, which not too long before then, this will come up here in a little bit again, but not too long before this, the Berlin Wall happened, and I'm not sure that it's a direct reference to that, but it's you can build up that wall higher than a mountain, stronger than whatever, but someday it's going to fall, and peace will rule again, or reign again, whatever. So just one, and it's very simple too. It's like almost just one chord. I don't even know if there's really one, whatever. I don't know if there's even really a chorus. I don't know. But then has the one little part, the bridge there later on. So anyway, bless Lobos.
Yeah, like in the Los Lobos, and the song was cool. I liked it. Um, it's interesting, that, and I don't know if either of you picked up on this, but the song starts out and it has that yeah, right, and then the next song, which we'll talk about in a minute, Peaceful World, starts out with the same what is it, hey yeah, hey yeah, hey yeah. So I don't know if you guys were in cahoots there or whatever, but back to back songs with yeah, and hey yeah, and a lot of yeah going on there. But that was good. It was a good tune for sure. Um, don't have much more to say about it.
Yeah, every Los Lobos song you pick, I think I'm gonna buy that album next time I see it. Because even when the other songs that you've chosen on our playlist, man, I like them all, and I like this one especially, and I do like that the two talk about a wall because that's still pretty prevalent today in our society, and I'm not gonna jump too deep into that, but of course, if you're Hispanic, if you're Mexican American, especially, Wall has its own meaning to it, and of course, they probably never knew that that would transcend into this song. But having that, talking about crumbling the wall and having peace, seems to seems to fit perfectly. And I just thought, man, what a great choice. And like I said, I think I'm gonna buy this album next time or the CD next time I see it. And yes, I still buy CDs out all the time. So uh transitioning, I went with John Mellencamp. I guess I've been on this little Mellencamp kick lately. And initially, and the full disclosure here is that this song, when I did my research, isn't really about peace per se. It's called Peaceful World, but apparently John Mellencamp went to one of his backup singers who's African American, and she says, "Hey, what bothers you?" I guess what bothers you that white people don't know, and not really white people, but she said, "What bothers you?" And she was referencing that hip hop had come along and that they promoted all these bad things, these negative connotations, and she's like, that's not really what it should be about. And so I thought, wow, what a great thing. And so he decided that he was going to write a song about that. And so there's some lines in there that are kind of interesting, like not being politically incorrect. Well, you can go either way on that, Sure, you can't be political, but of course, we've also learned that sometimes you've got to be at this stage. What we used to say in the 70s isn't what we should be saying now. And so, but I thought it was an impactful song, and I thought it was kind of interesting that, that he's calling out people and, and promoting Martin Luther King and things of that nature that, yes, this is what we should be focusing on and having a peaceful world instead of focusing on, I guess, what they were referring to, gangster rap and stuff like that. So that, again, it's not the ultimate peace song, I guess, like the other ones, but I thought it had an interesting message.
Yeah, I'm still kind of trying to. I like it. I like it, and this is your second Mellencamp song. I keep wanting to call him John Cougar. I know he hadn't been that in a long time, but and the last one was off of Scarecrow, and I like them both. I kind of, I guess my attention turned elsewhere. So after Scarecrow, I didn't really listen, but he has kept doing some great stuff, and he's does a lot of good, through Farm Aid and everything. And this song, I'm still trying to. You shed a lot of light on it for me. I'm still kind of trying to figure out a little bit. Like the "Come On Baby, Take a Ride with Me." I'm up from Indiana down to Tennessee. I'm not sure. But and then there's a line about, oh, the devil. What is it? So you got to look the devil. Let's see. Money's good. The work's okay. Looks like everything is rolling our way. So you got to look the devil in the eye. That bastard's one big lie. I think it's interesting line. So yeah. I don't have anything else to say. I like it. It's a good song.
I'm not sure I delved into the lyrics all that much or whatever, but for whatever reason, we always have our favorites and everything. This was kind of right in the middle of the playlist, and I for whatever reason, I think this is my favorite track on it. It's just I love the drum beat on it is incredible, and the message is good. It's kind of calling out racism and that we need to live in a peaceful world. And I don't know, I just really took to this song. And out of all the songs on the playlist, there's another one that I kind of liked as well. We'll get into later on, but I think as the playlist was going through, and it's really really good. Right in the middle of the playlist, you hit this one, and it resonated with me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna keep going back to and listening to this song. It's one of my favorites.
I thought I was gonna be chastised for not being a part of the peace theme, holistically peace. It's about peace, but I appreciate it.
So then after that, then I kind of threw a little bit of a curveball. Like we said, we try to research a little bit, and so I was looking for some of these peace songs, and I came across this one that it was Bryan Adams, and I'm like, Bryan Adams, what's he doing writing songs about peace? And the title of it was "What If There Were No Sides at All?" and kind of talking about the big blue planet, that we live on, and it's round and there aren't sides, and we shouldn't take sides. And what if we didn't have these? And maybe we'd be more united and together and everything. And I put this on, and while we made the playlist, I even asked Jose and Mike. I said, "Can you guys tell me what this song sounds like, or who it sounds like? Because it sure seems like it's ripping somebody and it's imitating somebody or whatever. Because it wasn't like you know what's the Brian Adams stuff, straight from the heart, or cuts like a knife, or summer of '69, or it wasn't that. It was something a little bit different. And I'm like, okay, but after I played it a couple times, I thought, this is it's got a pretty cool message and a cool song, but it does sound like something, right?
No, definitely. It's Beatlesque, if anything. And then we go on our kick. But yeah, it's definitely Beatlesque in a lot of different ways.
Mhm.
So yeah, no. I agree. And I like the song. I think this was probably my favorite on the thing. Because it does have a great message, if you really think about it, we don't ever think in that global context. We're always so, and I don't know, for lack of a better phrase, a little xenophobic sometimes in the way we approach this and the way we approach uh, our daily living in life. But what if we didn't have borders? What if there was no Mexico, no Canada? What if we all worked together? How much interesting would that be? It'd be like, and of course, I'm just gonna say it, you like a huge Star Trek fan. You're just like, what if we just didn't have that federation and everyone was on the same page, accomplishing the same goal? What would that really be like? And you want to believe that that's how it would be. Instead, we all fight over religion, borders, obviously money and of that nature. So I thought it was a great message. And in tune with the Beatles, hey, they were all about peace and love. So, you gotta love that. So I enjoyed the song a lot.
Yeah, this one really surprised me when you said Brian Adams. Internally, I'm like, oh, here we go. Because yeah, I'm thinking cuts like a knife. What's that? I need somebody, or what? Somebody
The
like
Robin
you.
Hood song, right?
Oh yeah,
That was
yes.
popular.
Yeah, I actually saw him open for the Stones once and liked him. When I saw him live, I'm like, okay, I'll give him a chance. I've been such a snob, and I'll admit it about a lot of music though. That's not related to this. Okay, so when I heard it, um, I was hearing the Beatles too. In fact, the beginning almost sounds like the start of one of those songs that they did for the anthology. The drum, and I don't know, just the production, the sound. But then pretty quick, I'm like, man, this sounds like Lennon to me. And it reminded me of Imagine, like imagine there's no sides at all, imagine there's no this, no that. And that basically was, people don't always agree, like some of the lyrics in there, but it's kind of that concept. And so that I'm glad this is on there because we follow up with three Beatles and John is absent. And I was thinking, why did nobody put on Imagine? I mean, maybe
Or
we're
give
tired
me
of it, but yeah. So anyway, that isn't necessarily why I did. I had this next song on my list already. That's George Harrison, "Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth." I've always liked that song, and it was on my short list for this thing. I really wanted to fit it in there somewhere, and I thought this just worked out right. But this was yeah, I guess it was a pretty good size hit. It was one of the first ones I remember as a kid hearing on the radio and really liking. I think it was probably the next one of his solo stuff I heard after My Sweet Lord. And I still like it to this day. Um, we probably could have put My Sweet Lord in there as a peace song too, for that matter. But you probably heard it. There's not much more I can add. I knew I had to get some Beatles, and I'm glad you guys got solo or whatever on there. Boy, we could have hit what 30 or 40 Beatles songs. I don't know, a bunch of them, but
Well, I had a few of the Beatles songs kind of on my list of ones I thought we might put on. Obviously, give Peace a chance, and some of those kind of things too. And so when this was the third out of 4 songs that you put on, Mike, that I had on my list too. So it was like I don't know if we were in a symbiotic kind of thing going on, but I wanted to put this song on the playlist, and then again it followed real good after that Brian Adams one. The other thing with the Brian Adams one is I was thinking like it almost sounded with the George Harrison part, it kind of tied into like the Traveling Wilburys a little bit, like it was Dylan and um, Tom Petty-ish kind of too, with that. But then yeah, following up with the George Harrison classic song, "Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth." I never get tired of. It's one of those ones where when I hear that song, it comes on. It's it's just a favorite of mine. So I'm glad you put it on. There's a lot of familiarity to this playlist for me. It seems like, even though there were a few surprises and a few new songs, a lot of it was songs that I was real familiar with, which always makes for a good, easy listening as well. So yeah, once you did that, it was like, okay, let's go ahead and do the. Uh,
I'm next.
oh, you're next. Yeah, yeah. Then keep it rolling, Jose. Let's just.
We'll talk about yours, Dave. We love you, Dave.
Did I go out of turn on that? I did. No, it was your.
Oh, you're right. You're good. All good. You just don't
Okay.
want to talk about your song. If we want to skip over mine,
No, it's all right. Just I don't know what I'm doing now. Give me peace, man. Give me love.
well, that's what we all do here. We've been doing that for 40 odd years. So now George Harrison song is it's top 5 George Harrison song for me. Like, and you all have covered this already. That once you hear this song, it's straightforward. It's easy. It's one of those songs that give me love, give me peace. What anything else? No, you really don't need that. Could be so easy again, but we don't. We tend to not. And I think from the Brian Adams song to this, it has the guitar. That's how I equate. The guitar sounds
Slide guitar.
like. Right, I agree with that, and that's what really sent me to that with Brian Adams song is the guitar. So anyway, I'm keeping that Beatles. So even though we didn't give Peace a Chance or any John Lennon, I went with actually a weird song that I didn't even know existed till we started doing this playlist, and that's Ringo Starr, who is what's his little catchphrase: peace, love, peace, love. That dude's made a living off of that. As much as I never really equated him with that, but that's been his signature forever. And even though, so then, and he kind of, in doing research of this, he kind of explains it's called Peace Dream. And of course, it's like having a dream. He wishes it were real. And then he references John Lennon, which, some people might say, oh, it's an easy out for him. How hard is that? It's an easy out for him to write a song about his fellow bandmates and about the Beatles, because of course Beatle fans would love that. But I think it resonates, as well. It's just Ringo Starr solo stuff. You either love it or you hate it, but most of the time it's really kind of silly, senseless kind of thing. But this one was kind of hard hitting, like, hey. And then in researching it, like he said, he one day had a dream about this, and he wanted to talk about John Lennon, and apparently in doing research, he was there in Amsterdam, and he was always on board with when he was doing this, when John Lennon was doing this. Ringo Starr was by his side and was obviously championing. And of course, like I said, he took up the mantle of peace, love. That kind of became his thing. So I thought, an interesting song from something that I'd never heard from him.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it either. I the earlier ones, like really early, I think there's 2 that George Harrison wrote, Photograph and It Don't Come Easy, and maybe played on them too. So I know those really well, but kind of after that, you're right, they do kind of get into the almost some of them into the novelty. I don't no, I don't drink that no more.
Paul McCartney did play bass on this.
Yeah. So it's not a full on reunion, but it was obviously years after, even after the anthology. But he does reference Imagine and Give Peace a Chance. And seems like every little thing I've seen with him in the last, probably 20, 30, whatever years, that's kind of his line. And his music reflects it. I don't know a lot about this stuff, but I like Ringo. I know I've missed some chances to see him in his all-star band. I guess I better hurry up. But and he always has, when he does those, he always has great people with him. It always amazes me, the people that join in on that band. But yeah, good choice.
Yeah, I like Ringo. I've always said I think he's probably a little bit underrated. He really was a great musician, drummer, and he doesn't get the credit because he was overshadowed by three great artists. But this is a good example of how wow he can hold his own. It's a good tune. I never knew anything about it, and um, the only thing I'd say about it is like, I wish I had like a dream about peace or something, right? But growing up, most of the time my dreams were about Barbara Bach. And
Ouch.
not really, was that appropriate or not? I don't know. He was married to her for how many years, right?
Oh yeah, a lot of years.
Are they still married?
I think
Yes,
so.
they are. I think.
Were they in Caveman together? Is that where they
They
met?
were.
And that's the part of the dream I'm referring to.
Okay, man, such a fantastic gift.
Pretty much, yeah. Um, Anyway, but no, it's a good song, definitely good choice, and kind of kept that Beatles flow going. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm the last one to choose. Do I go Lennon or McCartney? And I just had to go with one of my favorite songs. And when you talked about making a peace playlist, one of the first song that popped in my head was "Pipes of Peace." I said, okay, I got to go with that one. I've always liked the song. It's got a great video to it too, and with the Germans and the Russians playing soccer, right? And hopefully, when we build this playlist, it'll be on there. You can go check out the video part of it because that's a way cool video. So yeah, just thought I would keep that Beatles thing going.
Yeah, it's a good song. It's not my favorite song. I think it's got, and I'll just be biased. I think it's just kind of cheesy. But having said that, when it first came out, oh, this is Paul McCartney. Yeah, it's kind of cheesy. It's kind of, I always thought he was kind of that little cheesy phase because then he was with Michael. Did he do a song with Michael Jackson?
Was it Say on this one?
Say,
I
say,
think it
say.
was.
It was that kind of poppy, but Paul McCartney is prone to that. But having said that, having listened to it again and really delving into it, man, you're like, man, this is really a great song. As much as I probably discarded it as a kid and just thought, oh, this is one of those cheesy Paul McCartney songs. But it had the video like it's all quiet on the Western Front, so to speak, and whether those things actually happened where troops came together, we can all debate that, but that's not important really. But the message is important, and that's what are these guys really fighting? If not it's funny, the ultimate paradox, they're fighting for peace. So, but yet they come together just for that split moment, and it all comes together. So no pun intended. Sorry. Could use that song, right? But yeah, overall, it's a great song, and it is Paul McCartney. And I thought, yeah, we kept the Beatles theme going.
Yeah, to you, the thing about the soccer and what you were saying, I have a couple of podcasts I listen to related to history, and one of them, I don't know if it's this one or another one, but History This Week or Unknown History, these different things I listen to. And one of them did have a episode on this thing. I think it was World War I, where it wasn't, I don't know if they played football or soccer, but it was Christmas, and it was a full-on war of attrition, and they took a break, and they literally went out, they exchanged chocolates or whatever, and the next day they're killing each other again. But they maintained it was true. So even if it's not, it's a really cool story. And I forgot about the video. I hadn't seen it in so long. But I had this record, and it was kind of the follow-up to Tug of War, which I thought was interesting. I got them right about the same time. Yeah, I didn't get Tug of War right away, but I thought they were almost like it could have been one long album that he'd put together. And there's some really good songs in there. And yeah, okay, it is. There's a certain amount of cheese factor here. It's Paul McCartney, but it's a great song and a great message. And when I listened to it this time, I was like, no, I like this better than I remember. You know, the arrangement and of course the lyrics. You know, it's you can't go wrong with the things he's talking about. So I didn't have another Beatle to follow up with. There's no Pete Best or I don't know, George Martin, whatever, fifth Beatle. But so this was not intentional, but a guy who has written several songs with Paul McCartney that have appeared on albums, both of them did, and I think maybe even other people recorded, Elvis Costello. So this Elvis Costello with the Attractions, maybe third, fourth album. So it was early 80s, yeah, early 80s. It's What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding off of Armed Forces. And I had to have this on there somewhere. This is every time I've seen him in concert, I think he's closed with a song and it gets the crowd on their feet and people eat it up. It's a driving song and it's a great message, you know. And it's written by and originally recorded by Nick Lowe. And some might ask, why didn't I put Nick Lowe's version on? We had just seen him, and I don't think he did. I think this is what was irritating to me. He did not do this song. He did Allison, which a song I don't think he maybe he produced it, but it was an Elvis Costello song. But he didn't do this song. That's the only negative note I have about that show. But I love Elvis Costello's music. I've hardly put any on these playlists, and this is not the first one of his records, but one of the early ones I got. And you know, the stuff with the Attractions um, can't be beat in my mind as far as the stuff I like. So yeah.
This is one of the tunes that leading up to the putting the playlist on, I hit upon, but I came across the Nick Lowe version of it first, and so I listened to that. It's a little slower version of it, but it's a way cool song. And so I played the Nick Lowe version a couple times, and then I saw, oh, there's an Elvis Costello version, and I put that on, and I'm like, okay, it's like, it's Elvis Costello, right? It's how it is. So at first, when Mike put this on, I'm like, oh, why didn't he put the Nick Lowe one on? I had it on my list as well. But I'm telling you, the more I listen to this playlist, I probably listened to it 3 or 4 times, and this is probably either 1A or 1B, my second favorite song. I mentioned Peaceful World, and then this one. I don't know what it is about it, but I love this song. And so I'm glad he put this version on it. Forget about the Nick Lowe version now.
No, it's
this
good. It's good.
it's good too, but I like this version. I like what he did with it, how he interpreted it, and put his spin on it, and it's great. It's great tune.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was doing my playlist, I found a version of it by Perfect Circle. I was like, oh, I'm gonna put this on, and then not realizing that, because then I was like, oh wait, Elvis Costello, this is his. Because when you listen to the lyrics, like, oh, he's done it. This is his song, and then it was like, oh, okay. So it was funny. I was like, oh, Perfect Circle did it. So a couple people have done it. And, why not, right? I mean, it's just a fantastic song. It has a great message. Elvis Costello. Uh, I have to thank Mike because Los Lobos and Elvis Costello are really starting to, climb on my playlist of things that I want to buy for CDs. Keep pulling them out, then putting it back, pulling them out at half price, putting it back. But at some point, I'm going to grab it, and I should. So on vinyl, especially, there's been a couple of moments where Elvis Costello I could have got for $7.99. I was like, I don't know why I did not buy that. And so yeah, just a fantastic song. And so my next song was "I Wish You Peace" by the Eagles. Now we all have our regrets on playlists, and this is probably my only song that I was like, maybe I should have played something different. Not that it's a bad song, and it's an okay song, but it's just not one of those Eagles hits, and it's not really about peace per se. More like inner peace, and I feel your peace. Written by Patty Davidson, who's the guitarist who wrote it. You know part of it.
Bernie Leadon?
Yeah, Bernie
Is it-
Lee. So yeah, so it's one of those songs like, and when I listened to the playlist, I was like, maybe I should have gone a different direction. Not that it's not a bad song, and the message really is good as far as person feeling down, you should feel peace, despite all that's against you and things of that nature. But if I had my brothers, I might have gone a different direction. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know, Jose. I mean, inner peace, if you want to have peace out here, you've got to have it in here, and I've always liked this song, and I know Don Henley talked so much crap about it. He didn't want it on the record. I think it was maybe the parting shot for Bernie Leadon, and yeah, of course, it's written by Ronnie's daughter too, and whatever. But they're like, we put it. He said we put it on there just to keep the group from breaking up. And it's like, whatever, those guys have some egos, but I think it's a great song. It ends that record. Is it One of These Nights, I think, or
I think
yeah.
so.
I've always liked this song, and it has that kind of warm feeling, to it. It's a peaceful song. So I stand by your decision. And again, it was peace was the topic. It wasn't world peace or
I-
whatever.
No,
It's a good song.
Yeah, it's just it's a song that I had forgotten or didn't remember much of, and yeah, like you said, we talked about peace. So out of the 15 songs we played, 9 of them had the word peace in them. So not all 15 had peace in them. We had uh, we are here, where's the love, what's going on, some other things like that. So yeah, fine. I mean, I guess you could even put peaceful, easy feeling or whatever, right? Another Eagle
yeah,
song or something like that. But it's a good song. Again, I think it flows pretty well with the coming off the upbeat of the Elvis Costello kind of thing. It kind of brings you down to more of a somber kind of thing, and that's fine. We do that. We bring ourselves up and down in these playlists. And so then I had the opportunity to close it, and I didn't come up with a song with the word peace in it other than Wind of Change, and is a live version of it. So in the beginning, Scorpion lead singer Klaus Meine talks about how we need to be peace, we need to bring the world together, we need to have peace, we need to do this, and I don't know. It's a pretty cool song. I think it talks, and again, it has a message of and talks about peace in it. But I thought it may be a good ending, even though it was kind of going the heavy metal ballad route at the end there. But anyway,
I'll go like that. Yeah, I'm a big Scorpions fan. Obviously, we grew up loving the Scorpions. We lived in Texas. We loved the Scorpions, and saw them a couple of times. And this was this was one of those songs that came after their biggest hits, Breakout and Animal Magnetism and things of that nature. So, but what I did like about the song, in addition to doing a great song is that it's in Russia, right? They're singing to a Russian crowd, which is kind of prevalent today. It's like, yeah, maybe we need a little more of that in Russia, a little more peace over there. So anyway, yeah, I love the Scorpions. Always did as a kid. I think Dave and I saw them together.
once
Right, we saw them in San Antonio where the fight broke out on the floor. You always remember that, but
or Scorpions, Iron Maiden, and Girls School. I still
that's
remember.
right. Which was a classic back then. Iron Maiden opening up for Scorpions, which probably wouldn't happen today. So, but yeah, I like Matthias Jobs is their guitarist, and he's just a great guitarist. And who doesn't love a good heavy metal? I do. So I thought it was a great way to end the playlist because it kind of encapsulates all the stuff that should be happening.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily the biggest Scorpions fan, but that's okay. But this song I liked in and of itself. I think it's a great song. But it was also, it's kind of anchored in history, like you mentioned, that live thing in Russia, but it came out around the time of the collapse of the Soviet Union and the Berlin Wall, and it's been kind of linked to that in people's mind. It certainly was in mine because I had been there in '89, not at the Berlin Wall. I was in mainly Ukraine and then a little bit in Russia, and so it was an exciting time to see these things changing, people getting the chance to you know, kind of go their own way, be free and stuff. And then you roll it to today, and it's like now you're seeing, is it a new Russian empire? I don't know what it is, but this song, it would be great if it had the power to stop what's happening over there. But it's still, and when I think back, I remember seeing the video. I'll have to find it. I think of this one live, and it really got picked up. I think it was before the Berlin Wall. I know it certainly got in people's minds. So anyway, I'm just going in circles now, but
He said, I didn't realize as I'm looking at the lyrics, but it said it was a live version. But a lot of times when you have a live version, they don't reprint the lyrics of what he's saying before the song starts, right? But it actually did, and I want to read it because it's interesting. He said, when we played in Moscow at the Moscow Peace Festival back in '89, again about that time, and we went on stage and we were singing Steel Avenue, and 100,000 Russians were singing along. Oh, wait a minute. It says Still Avenue. He said they missed the lyric here. They were singing Still Loving You. Still
Okay.
loving you, right? And he
Great.
said, 100,000 Russians were singing along with this German band, the Scorpions. So he says everywhere I think was the moment for the so that's when he got the inspiration to play to do the song.
Okay.
Hey, if they can all be, we could be at a concert in Russia and they're all singing to this German song, then even though the wind is blowing us right in the face, right now, he says, I think there's always hope that we stop killing each other, and someday we're living in peace together on this planet. And that was the prelude to the song starting.
yeah, and you reminded me when you said that. I had forgotten all about this. When we were in Moscow, we went to this place in Gorky Park, and it had a sign up that said Hard Rock Cafe. It was in no way related to it, but it's run by this Russian rock star, Stas Naman, and he kind of hooked up with them during this whole time, and they toured that facility, and there's a band shell there, and they had no permission from the Soviet government to do this. But when I was reading about this, just kind of researching it, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. I met that Stas Naman dude. I got his autograph. I gave it to somebody else, but still. But yeah, it's just like it's so interesting that time. There was an album to benefit Greenpeace, but Peter Gabriel, the Eurythmics, it's all these different Sade, tons of these folks went in and they recorded the songs elsewhere, but then they did a big photo op for one of the videos in that same facility, and they wrote in paint their names on the wall. I got to see that when we kind of went in the dressing room. But anyway, that's just me. But it was it brings back a lot of cool memories, and sad too now. But that said, peace out, guys. This is I like the playlist. I'm glad we got this. The war one. It was a pretty tough one, and we all agree, but it was a great one, and hopefully this will kind of in our pantheon of playlists, this will kind of bring out the peace, whatever. Anyway, that's all I have. You guys have any songs you wanted to put on that you
Oh yeah.
didn't?
Just have it here. Yeah. Patti Smith. People Have the Power. I had that. Peace by Weezer. We don't have
Oh,
that
yeah.
on there. Yeah. So pretty much Man of Peace by Bob Dylan, but it really isn't about peace per se, but it is a good song. And one that I didn't put on that I thought was interesting, One Day by Matthias Sayu. Have you ever heard of him? He's a Jewish guy who put it out
Big,
there. It was
big
like-
beard.
Right. And then Better Together by Jack Johnson. That was another one that I thought was there. Dave?
I got most of the songs I wanted to put on. There were a couple other ones that I thought might go with this, you know, Blowing in the Wind, For What It's Worth, Buffalo Springfield. Yeah, those were a couple that I had on. Man of Peace, Grateful Dead. Didn't play that one, right?
Right. But that's, yeah, it's Bob Dylan and Grateful Dead.
Oh, Bob Dylan and Grateful Dead. Fortunate Son, Creedence Clearwater. So a couple that.
One Love by Bob Marley. We didn't put that on. I thought that's a great song. So anyway,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was on my list, Bob Marley. Peace and Love, Neil Young with Pearl Jam. They put out that one record. I think that song refers to John Lennon in a few places. Some of that's about him at least. That was high up there. Yes We Can by Alan Toussaint. And I really had intended on putting some Stevie Wonder on there because he has some good songs on this subject, and just some other time. So
I even had What the World Needs Now, Del Shannon, maybe something like that, or
yeah, that's
Waiting
on my
for
list.
to Change, Sean Mayer.
Yeah, that one you just mentioned. And then she also did Put a Little Love in Your Heart, which to me, it sounds like something that could have been written by Lennon and McCartney. I don't know if you listen to it sometime with an open mind. I used to think it was, you know, because they wrote songs for other people, but nope. I don't think it had anything to do with them. But okay, guys. Well, this is fun. I hope everybody liked it.
enjoy the song. Yeah, Peace. I mean, how can you go wrong, right? We should have more of it.
Yep. We maybe can do another one of these days. I'm sure it'll be a relevant topic in the future. So here's wishing peace to everybody. The more we can get, the better. And peace of mind to you guys. And so next one is 43. Have we decided yet? For
Think it's
sure.
rain, right? April shower, rain.
Rain. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it was rain or flowers. That's right. Rain. So great. I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I already have a lot of songs. The question is, where do we include storms, or is it just full on rain? We will decide that for later. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you soon.